Right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for being here. All my life, I've been on a campaign, and that is to do less. I was very successful in teenage years, and a little less so now. But we're all in the same boat. We are all getting busier. But in one capacity or another, Cintra can help make that part of your lives a little bit easier. My opinion. Every bit of data that is keyed into a piece of software that sits on another piece of software is an absolute failure on one level or another. Time for the first slogan of the day, and there are many. We need to start letting the software do the hard work so we don't have to. It does. It's like a washing powder, but actually adapted to this presentation. So inspiration for this conversation comes from hundreds, if not thousands, of customer conversations that we've had over the years. We have a very simple and straightforward process. We look for a part of a process that's inefficient, and we do whatever it is we can to stamp that out. So over the next half an hour or so, we'll be discussing two very broad topics. One, getting data into the system without pressing a button, i.e. automate everything. And two, how to check your payroll without looking at a single payslip. Both of those are a bit of a stretch, but, narrowing it down anyway, getting rid of those button presses. So I'm here with my great friend Martin, payroll manager at Henderson's, whose flight got in about 15 minutes ago, so I did actually think I was going to be doing both parts of this presentation. But I'm glad he's here, payroll manager at Henderson's, the man who runs possibly the most efficient setup I know. It's 8,000 headcount, 100 payrolls, all with a team of 7. That's weeklies, monthlies, lunas. So, Martin is going to give me his insights on, how to do things right. He's been an absolute pioneer and friend of Cintra in the main for the last 20 odd years. So to start things off, one second. Start things off, we can look at the full spectrum flow of data, starting at the bottom with the humble spreadsheet and going all the way up to the fully automated, API-driven system with data flowing in and flowing out of the system seamlessly. I'm aware that in the audience there will be a large spread of relevance here, so I'm not going to linger too long on any part of it. Hopefully more kind of glide seamlessly or dance elegantly through each point. Planting seeds is what I'm aiming to do, and if you find something interesting, that's where we continue the conversation in more depth. What's important is that it doesn't have to be big picture. It can be literally anything. Any single process in your daily life is something we can amend. I'll come to that picture in a second. Starting with the most fundamental. If anyone's just printing off data off a PDF, typing it into a software, handwritten, you have no real alternative but to input that directly into your system. It's fundamental, it's boring, and I really don't like that. In fact, I hate that. I would urge you, like it says on the slide there, to look behind that data, see where it comes from, and that's where we start making progress in where to send it next. The second main action point is take some guidance from IT. Make friends with your IT department or account manager if your data's on another software. I deliberated a long time whether to actually leave this picture in the slideshow or not. I decided to leave it out, but then put it in anyway. And it's got a very important message, and that is, in this world of AI, it's doing some fantastic things, it's making some magnificent advances. It can't yet do a picture of someone hugging an IT colleague without looking a bit creepy. So it made me laugh, at least. So, real action point though. Ask your colleagues in IT to help. They have the skills, they have the knowledge, and they have the tools to make that happen. Data to flow from somewhere to somewhere. So take, for example, new starters. If you're doing that on bits of paper or on spreadsheet, on handwritten forms, get your employees, get your new starter to give you that data via a spreadsheet. Now, I'm not saying at all you hand an employee an Excel spreadsheet. What I am saying is you get your IT to make you a web form so they can fill in that form. It gets passed somewhere, some clever IT stuff. I don't know myself, but my IT do. And you can then Yeah, thanks, Ed. You can get that data on this template, and on the Cintra cloud, you can then just press the import button, and in it goes. Happy days. And a problem, you know, the person giving you the data is the only person who can make a mistake with it. It'll chop out any single mistake. Excuse me. A job has been saved. Oh, sorry, we're not meeting Martin just yet. Staying with the carrots for a bit longer. If your new starters are held on another piece of software, talk to the provider or to your IT, see how easy it would be for you to get that data on a similar template. And again, you can import that data in at the press of a button, and a job has been saved. Now there's a message for Emma here, who I don't see. Oh, that's a shame. So we actually went through this with IQSA, with Payroll, and we had a problem that on Cintra IQ there's an awful lot of customization. So on our standard template, there are things that won't flow into your system. So what we'd then suggest is your IT or provider give you two files, one to flow in by the cloud import and another for an import map that we would set up again. All of the data is being put into the system without you pressing any buttons. Oh dear, sorry. So, are we on the carrot still? Oh, yep. Staying on the topic of making the data sing. True efficiency is when all of the data flows in from the employees directly in without it even going to you to pass on. That's where I would fully advocate, you know, self-service, your holidays, your sickness, your personal details, or the employee hub. You know, it's just getting that part of it done quickly. If you're not using that, I would 100% recommend we talk about it in the very near future. There is one final level, which is the big carrot, and that is the Cintra groups. Now, I'm not going to talk about that right now. What I'm going to do is Mark's presentation at 3:15, I think. Yeah, please do stay for that. The subject blows my mind every time I listen to it. So I think at this point, it's probably a good time to pass over to Martin. So Martin, can you take a few minutes, first of all, your journey with Cintra, which is intriguing, and also how you go about processing 8,000 people with only a team of 6 people.
Thanks, Andrew. Everybody hear me at the back okay? Because I'm not mic'd up. No. My colleague's sitting at the back. Hang on. You can't hear me, no?
I'm not mic'd up either, you know. This is for the recording.
Everybody hear me okay? Yep. Thank you. Thanks, Andrew, for inviting me. I think the invite came a couple of weeks ago. He told me he was coming on to a panel and for the rest of the panel.
Totally tricked you.
I want to talk you through my journey with Cintra. I'm not sure where you are at, who's in the room, what companies are in the room. I joined Henderson's in 1994. They have 400 employees. We are the group that operates Spar, Vivo, Eurospar in Northern Ireland. Today we've 8,000 people on our payrolls. I think Andrew said 5,000. So we have 5,000 in our group, but we also run 3,000 for independent retailers within Northern Ireland. The Henderson Group, as I say, in 1994 had 400 staff. We have now 5,000 and 3,000 independent retailers we're doing payrolls for. When I joined, we had 5 members in the payroll team. We've now got 7 members in the payroll team. I'm going to take you on the journey when we first met Cintra. It was a cold call to me in 1998. Paul
Twaddle.
Paul Twaddle, give me a phone call. We were operating a payroll with manual paper, faxes, taking telephone calls. You manually key all this data into one single system payroll. Cintra was a game changer for us in 1999. We had a payroll system where we could actually have, it had multiple databases, but we could have all of our payrolls on one database. And then we engaged with Cintra of how we could get the data from paper to Excel, which was a big thing back then, and get that data into the system. Every day we want to make things simpler, faster, better. 2008 came. We were going out into the marketplace to look at one payroll that would be one database and integrate with our HR payroll system. Cintra came up with Cintra IQ. Not sure who has Cintra IQ in the room. We were one of the early adopters of Cintra IQ, and with Cintra, we got it from our recruitment to HR to payroll to payslip. We had 2,500 people. In 2010, we were the early adopters of that. Our company went from, I remember telling our MD in the canteen that our payroll had hit £5 million. Our payroll now is £140 million. The SPAR, Eurospar, in Northern Ireland has probably got 22% of the market share. We are bigger than Tesco's in Northern Ireland. So we scaled up our business, and with everything that we've done with Cintra, the one database in Cintra IQ, we have all of our payrolls on one database, and we use workflow. I have 50 payrolls I process on a Friday with one click of a button to calculate them all. One click of a button to do auto enrollment. Absolute game changer for us. And I'm not sure who uses this workflow within, but it is really impressive. And it's probably why we have stayed with Cintra for so long. And it's helped our business. Our business is owned by a charitable trust. The shareholders of the business, we've went to the marketplace several times. We're still with Cintra, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the other presentations today because, as I say, we want simpler, faster, better. Is there anything else, Andy? You would?
I think no. I think that's fantastic. The workflow. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd say workflow. I have 50 payrolls for Friday. We have set up workflow where you calc it, you do your auto enrollment. It does all your FPSs at a click of a button. It creates all your BACS files at a click of a button.
You were an absolute pioneer of making that, weren't you? You worked very closely with development.
We worked with development
to kind of say which function do you want?
Which function? Yeah, which function? Which was the manual task that was taking up the most time, and can you develop that in the system? So engaging with Cintra has been brilliant for us. We have scaled up our business. Tesco's have a presence in Northern Ireland, but it's nothing like the UK because we have kept the market share there. And our owners have reinvested all of our profits back into the business because it's a charitable trust. But we're looking forward to what's next. And the presentation, I'm looking forward to Cintra
Groups with Mark.
It's going to be another game changer for us, and I think we're going to talk about a few other things that we're looking to.
That sounds fantastic.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Martin. We're going to come back to Martin phase 2 because, again, Martin has some pretty wild ideas for what happens next, isn't it, with APIs and data lakes and whatnot. So when Martin was talking, I realised I'd completely forgotten to mention 2 pretty important things. And also, Martin, you actually used both these, so I did think you were going to talk about them, but that's okay.
No.
Well, first of all, see your data. If it's, so I was talking about kind of getting all your starters, all your changes into Excel and dropping it in. A couple of years ago, we introduced the standard interface, which takes away the need to do any importing. It's like a holding cell between, so you've got data on another software, you've got data on Cintra IQ. It's this holding cell that sits in the middle. It's a very rigid template. It's very bargain basement. It's meant to be quite, just hold the data that you need. It's very low cost and, makes 2 systems talk to each other. So that's kind of the first step. So if your data is there and you're importing it in, we could maybe talk about the standard interface. How this does tend to progress though, is you start with the standard interface and you say, I want more, not just your starters. You then start to say, I want FTE changes, I want salary changes, I want changes of work pattern, I want changes of, you name it. You can then make an interface to make other softwares talk directly and fully to Cintra. Yep. Martin, do you use SAP?
We use SAP. We don't key any of that data. All that
Fantastic.
data goes straight in from an interface from SAP. Every day my team then, through the Cintra interfaces, which they built for us, they actually built that interface quicker than SAP was able to give us the interface output that we needed. So every day, at a click of a button, we're downloading all of our new starts, all of our changes, all of our, anything to do with an employee is being automatically updated into Cintra IQ.
So very efficient.
Across all of our payrolls, because we have one database that does all the payrolls. They're not separate databases.
And that's why, Gawain, I'm really glad that you're here, because I'm targeting you for exactly this at the moment. I'm going to, but
I don't know why you would have a separate database, you know, with filtering within IQ. You know,
No, totally.
you've got the navigator pane that has everybody live on your payroll, even leavers. You can filter on that, you can report on that in one go. We can actually run a report that does the whole of our 115 payrolls out in one file, and we can analyse that data.
are we talking report packs later, aren't we? In the second part. Let's come to that bit after. I like Martin. Once he starts. Actually, the intro was the longest I've ever heard him be silent. But when he does talk, I do listen.
Sometimes.
The second, sometimes. So we had the standard interface for you as well. So Martin has the main interface with all the data flying in, and then also we kind of found these other things that were just floating along, the overtime and the whatnot. And so that's what, so Martin now uses the standard interface for that, the main interface for that, self-service for the other bits, and workflow, which is, I absolutely love workflow. If anyone has more than, say, 5 payrolls on your system, we got to talk workflow. It's just all the boring jobs. Calc all 5 payrolls at once. Can you do 5 nest files? You can do 100 nest files.
We can do produce 50 nest files with one click.
Now that's got to be quite efficient. And then even closing down your payrolls, 100 times, yeah. And like I said, Martin was an absolute pioneer in making that. So, from Cintra's side, big thanks to Martin, big thanks to Henderson's. So, anyway, I don't want to linger too long. How are we doing for time? We're kind of halfway, aren't we? Okay. What I did want to also do is not just focus on the big picture. One thing I love about my software, or our software, is that there are 100 little kind of funny things that just sit there, and if you use them, they're really efficient on a very granular level. So I'm going to rattle through these very quickly. Like I said, the idea is to plant seeds of interest rather than going to the nth degree. And Martin, if any of these are relevant to you, and I know there are a couple, please do jump on it. It's taking it from the top, and like I said, this is whistle stop. Salary scales, fine points, all of the colleges will be using that. If you have a business that has quite a rigid set of salaries, this might well be for you. What it would do is transform a whole load of payroll with a whole load of data on to almost an ecosystem of information, posts, jobs, work patterns, salaries, spine points. So from an information point of view, that's really strong. Also, if you want to update literally everyone on the payroll at the click of a button, you can also do that. And one thing I'd quite like that we don't use that often is, if you have an annual increase, if you have a salary increase every year on your work birthday, this would do that. Happy days there. That's quite a big thing. So, that would be a major undertaking. Second up, parental schemes. Now, I absolutely love parental schemes since I used to process myself way back when. And the thing I used to hate the most, apart from input and sickness, which is on the sickness schemes, is the parental schemes where you've got to make that schedule. You set on the top level, you can have as many different schemes as you want. You set, you forget. It changes the salary for you, it changes the pension for you, it does all the hard work so you don't have to. I've already used that. And then it gives you a schedule out at the other end for you to pass on to your employees. Again, part of what I used to do. Everyone should be using parental schemes. Org chart, very similar to this salary scales spine. That's not easy to say. Again, that holds all of your data together, but instead of on an individual level, this is on a global level. How one business fits in with the other. Standard stuff, but on the calls I make, or the meetings I have, the number of people who don't use it is, it surprised me. So again, if you don't use it, an idea of, I was going to say seed of doubt, but that's not the right word at all. A seed of opportunity in there for that. Now, email triggers, I know you love a good email trigger, Martin. Do you want to sing the virtues?
Email triggers for us made us paperless. We especially when auto enrollment kicked in, it was a big thing for payroll teams. We moved all of our staff to 4-weekly pay, so we didn't have to do an assessment for 52 weeks of the year. We do it 13 times a year, so our company's probably saving money. 6,500 of our current staff are on variable pay. So that was a big thing for us, not having to send enrollment letters out, not having to, just the whole piece of auto enrollment really frightened us. Cintra just
So,
blew it away for us.
no.
We went paperless with self-service, 150,000 pay slips a year we were printing. Overnight that was switched off. The holidays, calendars, but email triggers for me. Every day we were getting emails to my payroll team email address to check if somebody turned a rate change needed for national minimum wage.
Totally.
A year's service, anything else that we had in our business that needed to action a change was automatically from the system emailed to our payroll team. No more paper. I could say that we're probably 99% of we are paperless now, completely in our payroll team. And emails, oof, I love that. Yeah.
I love them too. Like Martin says, anything you need to run a report for, make yourself an email trigger and happy days. We're going to be talking about the letter module after as well, and commas in this. But pension provider files, again, so I've been the pension guy at Cintra for a long time now. I love pension provider files. If you are writing a report out of your system and submitting it to your pension provider, then you're doing it wrong. You should be doing it through Cintra with an automated one-click output. Now, this isn't the colleges, by the way. There's more than one click to the college one. I get that. I'm talking about your Nest, your Now, your People's Pension, all that good stuff. We can make you automated outputs. So like I say, it has to be one click, upload, otherwise that's a failure. Going back to the very third line, whatever, every button click is a failure. If your pension provider file worked and doesn't work, you absolutely must call me about it and we can fix it. It's what we do. So yeah, pension provider files, again, if you're not doing it, do it. If you're a college, we already should have talked about this by now, so we'll not go too much into that. Holiday years and sick schemes, again, set and forget, top level stuff. Now these are both quite new, so again, it's quite surprising to hear how many people aren't using this stuff. Your holiday years, like I say, on the top you can have as many as you like. Set the amount of holiday, you don't need me to explain that. Where it's really good is that if somebody starts or leaves, you can press the calculate button, so it tells you how much holiday they owe or need. Another manual task that you would be saving. I like it very much. I thought that was a round of applause, but it wasn't. I was going to say, of all the things, that wasn't the one to clap. Import maps, again, this is really functional. If you import something every week, every month, set a map, set and forget. It's boring, but it's good. Saves a small task. I think I've covered all of them. And also the thing that if you have something like this and it's not working, and I see this time and time again, that's why I kind of reiterate. If you've got something like this that isn't working quite properly and you have to go and amend it, you need to call me or the support desk or the account management team. It's our jobs to fix that. So, well, give us some work, I guess. Well, that doesn't sound right either. But hey, that's all right. That was part one. Now, part one was the bigger part, and part two will probably only last a few minutes because it's about the data going on. I think you have kind of scooted around a few bits of this already. And Martin has got a really kind of progressive and forward-thinking part of it. So my side of things will be quite quick. Like Martin was saying, the report pack. Oh, sorry, that wasn't like what Martin was saying. I'll come to you in a minute. There are hundreds of reports in Cintra to get every kind of bit of data out in any kind of way that you could possibly want it. Advice from my side is try them all. The ones to prevent the bloopers, the duplicated bank accounts, the extra zeros on the end of a bonus, or the too few zeros on the end of a CEO's bonus, that kind of thing. I guess the question is which is the worst, but that's by the by. You can check them all, and they're all out there. Advice is just have a play. And if you're if you don't have access to Cintra, talk to your OSS team about what the options are, or talk to me about what your options are. There are thousands. Then you've got the other ones, to actually check that the data is doing what it's meant to, and the ones to kind of broadly overview. The point though, well, first of all, the point was play with them all. Secondly, is make yourself a report pack, and that's the howitzer checking kind of thing. Instead of, find yourself a process that works. Find the ones that you like, pop them in a report pack, and then again, you set and you forget. It does bring us though to the report writer, which a lot of the calls I make focus around this. A lot of people fear the report writer. My advice is don't, but obviously that's my obvious boring advice. My advice is just play with it, have a go of it, and what you will find is it's not as bad as you think it's going to be. The filters are what the actual kind of linchpin of it all. So filters are your friends. It's the filter that drives the report pack. Once you've mastered a filter, that then opens the door for a number of other things. like I said, the email triggers that Martin was talking about, if it's someone's birthday and you want them to send a cake and cards 10 days before, whatever, you just need an email trigger for that. Or if you want things for like, if you only want to report to people who've changed salary or who've had too much sick or any of that, any data, make a filter. Instead of interrogating vast amounts, you just get the bits that you want. Put them in the report pack and we're happy days. Again, filters are friends for letters also, which I think, Martin, you were talking about, the auto-enrollment letters. You'll be publishing those to self-service. If you're not using it, just use it. It's really good. So,
sorry, Andrew, even going back to filters, even when you have one database and you have thousands of records there, you can filter down to anything.
Oh, completely.
Filter for it. And even if you want to make a decision visually seeing that without even running a report, then people are on your dashboard by using filters.
Totally. And I think that's the kind of thing about it, is that it doesn't have to be, big kind of decisions about how to drive your software. If you have a process, there is always a way to make that process a little bit easier. If it's one of those pain jobs where you've got to write a report, I'll be saying don't. Just make a trigger, then you don't even have to worry about it until that email plops in and says, oh, hi, Anne.
Just wanted to reinforce what you said about embracing the email triggers.
Mm.
We've used email triggers to advise line managers of when anniversaries are coming up, or performance review purposes and all of that sort of stuff. So, yeah, very effective.
Oh, fantastic.
Nest communications.
Totally.
Yeah.
All that good stuff. It's literally an open book, isn't it? That there's no wrong answers. I think a lot of colleges, for example, do probation emails. So I think teachers and support staff have 3, 5, 12-month probations. So we'll be looking to go and set them up to fire a mail out a month before, just to get the line managers. And so these emails can go to the line managers, to the employees, or to the payroll, HR. So again, who it goes to is endless. It's all about the filter. Once that works, lots of processes. So there are two big, really quite forward-thinking parts now that, like I said before, Martin is completely pioneering. They are the API and data pools, which I know what they are, but I think Martin's a lot better than me at explaining this stuff. You right to take it from here, Martin?
I know, thanks, Andrew. Andrew was saying about report packs. We were using them quite a few years ago. we want to move up forward from that. We want APIs. We want to get our data out of the system. I was saying about our staff, 6,500 of our staff are on variable hours. We work to very tight margins. I don't want to be working a week in arrears or a month in arrears. I want to get the payroll data out of what happened yesterday. I want to give our managers, especially in our stores, there's your wage budget. Here's what the people have clocked in. How much did that cost me? Because we, as I say, work to tight margins. We're competing against the big players, Tesco's, Asda. Our vision is get the data out of our workforce management systems, get it out of payroll, and actually give them a cost report of yesterday, not last week, or last month. And that's where we're looking to get the interfaces right. We're looking to get all that data out into dashboard reporting. I don't want to print a report. I don't want to run a report. I want the click of a button to give me the data for yesterday. And that's where we're really excited to try and work with Cintra. You call them data pools, I call them data lakes.
I guess data oceans, isn't it?
It's data oceans. So that's our vision. We want to get. I was on a call yesterday with an American company who have our workforce management system, and we're talking to them about data lakes, and they use burst and they use whatever. And he says to me, "What data do you want out?" I said, "I want it all. I want to get it all out. I want to drain that lake with data, because data is power. Payroll's changed for us. We are the people that need to give the key decision makers in our businesses decisions to make. We are the biggest cost of all individual companies. We make a massive impact. So data's power for me. I want to drain the lake. I'm not a selfish person privately, But see, when it comes to work and data, I want it now. I want it from Cintra now. I want all these things. So I'm really excited to be, part of that journey with us.
Oh, completely. And yeah, I mean, the API is relatively new. It's only going to grow, and it's so very exciting.
I have this vision for the payroll team. I don't want payroll administrators. I want data analysts. And thankfully my business has invested in us because COVID probably hit, and payroll people thought, oh, they're really important. They're really important. So my business invested, my colleagues at the back, we're looking to move away from people being administrators, and this is this journey about data lakes. I know I have a business transformation manager in payroll, and that's his sole job. How do we get the data out of our systems? How do we stop all the administrators, any manual task, get rid of it, and hopefully payroll is the first one that we're going to tackle, get rid of all these manual tasks. And I've also got another, because I want to make the employee, the manager experience, the best possible experience with our systems, because systems are brilliant, but you have to get the employee to do the right thing at the right time, you have to get the manager to do the right thing at the right time. So I've now got a customer relationship manager who looks at all this data, looks at the flaws. Is that a system issue, or is that something we need to engage with our employees and managers? And we get this data out of Cintra to say, right, here's the things that are coming into us incorrectly. We're only the gatekeepers of the data that is supplied by the employee, by the manager. We need to make sure that they get it right, to give it to us to get it right. It's this journey that we look at, recruitment, the employee, to the pay slip, to the P&L. How do we get all that data seamless? It'll make all of our lives easy.
Oh, it absolutely would. And I have seen the work that Chris has been doing. It's quite majestic. It's like your entire report checking, month on month salaries, literally everything. I mean, it's the month on month that completely blew me away. And it's all macro driven, it's just set and forget.
So there's one thing, with that again, harking back to this one database, we're able to produce, I had 2 people every Thursday manually updating Excel files. You know accountants love Excel. My mission is to get rid of Excel and get rid of emails by the end of this year. I want to get dashboard reporting. And if the accountant wants to take an Excel file off, well, there you go, you take your Excel file off. But I know the data that we're giving them all balances and it's correct. And it's on the dashboards, and these with the data lakes or data pools, the APIs. This is going to be game changing for us.
Are you talking about APIs later, Seb?
No.
Oh, well, what I would say,
Please do.
well, please do. But yeah, so it is relatively new. It's almost in development. We're kind of working on it. It's not, something that's going to just grow and grow and grow. If that is something that is of interest to you in any line of the business, let us know. It's there to be given away freely. We obviously want more people to be using it so we can expand it and grow it. And obviously customer feedback is what drives everything. So yeah, the API is going to be massive. I'm absolutely sure of it in this forward kind of thinking world that we're in, where AI is about to drop. So please, if that's of interest, let us know. Again, in a similar way to the first part, we're going to scoot through some very kind of top level stuff again, all the stuff that just saves time and efficiency. Gender pay gap, now everybody should be using that already. If you're not, talk to us about it. It's on its 4th year now, it should be uber efficient. Secondly, FE data workforce in a very similar vein for our education friends. If you're doing that manually, then you're doing it wrong. There's a module in Cintra, I can help you. National minimum wage reporting, again, a really handy report that was kind of put into the report pack that should solve you some problems. And the other bits, out of those, the only one I really like, I'm aware I'm about to run out of time. Cloud reporting for me is massive. If you don't use the Cintra cloud, if you don't look at it, Cintra IQ, Cintra cloud, have a log on to the Cintra cloud, see what it can do for you. There is a report writer that's just been dropped into there, which is making things a lot more drag and drop, straightforward and easy. It's really fantastic. It's going to grow as well. That's in its infancy. Have a look. Again, I'm free after this to talk about any of the things we've discussed now. I do want to show you, I do want to kind of finish off there the part about how to get data in and out of the system, and talk a little bit about Cintra just for 1 minute. Cintra support work very, very closely with our development teams. The statement at the top is kind of a joke, but it is also true. I talk to development all day, every day, and our changes that come to us come from you. What I would urge everyone is, if there's something you can think of to make something better, and you let us know, we are in a pretty good position to kind of make that either happen or come back to you and tell you why it's not going to happen. One way or the other, we love feedback from you, my beloved customer base. Then some other quote about something that some guy who wrote a book wrote, whatever. And second overarching message though, making things more efficient can be any and every process, from the small steps like the email birthday trigger to the full-on data lakes. Make the change happen. There's plenty of it out there. So I think from my side, it's are there any questions, or should we have questions in the coffee room? Dan, can you wave if my time's completely... If there are any questions, I'm going to be loitering in the coffee area. I'm going to have a little lie down first, but after that, I'm going to go to the coffee area, and Martin will as well. Please do come and chat to us about any of these things. Thank you very much for being here, and absolute thanks to Martin for putting your head above the parapet. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day.